Karen's laugh was a chainsaw ripping through the quiet of my lakeside boathouse. A grating cackle that made my teeth itch. She stood there, all 300 pounds of her, smug as a cat with a stolen fish, flanked by two strangers who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. My name's Ethan, and that boathouse-me sanctuary wasn't just a building. It was my late father's dream, built plank by plank with his calloused hands. I kept it pristine, a place for solitude, not for Karen's uninvited barbecue parties. Yet there she was, on my dock, her flip-flops slapping the wood like she owned it, her guests dragging coolers and speakers like they were setting up for a music festival. The audacity wasn't just in her trespassing. It was in her belief that rules didn't apply to her. I'd known Karen for years. The kind of neighbor who'd complain about your dog's bark, but let her own yappy terrier terrorize the block. She had a face like a bulldog chewing a lemon, always twisted in judgment, always ready to lecture you on how her way was the only way. Last summer, she demanded I trim my oak tree because it blocked her view. I didn't. She called the city. They laughed her off. So, naturally, she took it upon herself to borrow my boathouse for her little shindig. No permission asked. No courtesy given. I spotted them from my kitchen window, the smoke from their grill curling up like a middle finger to my privacy. My blood boiled, but I grabbed my phone, slipped on my boots, and marched down the hill. The lake was still, reflecting the fading sun, but the air crackled with tension as I approached. Karen saw me coming and didn't even flinch, just smirked, like she was daring me to make a scene. "Karen," I said, voice steady but sharp, "this is private property. You know that. Get out." She snorted, adjusting her oversized sunglasses. "Oh, Ethan, relax. It's just a little get-together. You weren't using it." Her guest, a wiry guy with a man bun and a woman in a loud floral dress, shifted uncomfortably, their eyes darting between us. "Not using it." I pointed to the private property sign nailed to the dock. "You don't get to decide that. You didn't ask. You're trespassing." Karen rolled her eyes, her chins wobbling as she gestured to the lake. "It's a community lake. Ethan, stop being so selfish. We're just having fun." "Community lake. Private land." I snapped. "You've got 5 minutes to pack up, or I'm calling the sheriff." Her laugh was louder this time, a performance for her guests. "The sheriff? For a barbecue? Get a life. Ethan." She turned to the wiry guy, muttering, "Some people are so petty." That was it. The line wasn't just crossed. It was obliterated. I pulled out my phone and dialed Sheriff Dan, a friend of my dad's who'd known me since I was a kid. Karen's smirk faded as she heard me give the address, my voice calm but firm, describing the trespassers on my property. Her guests started packing up, mumbling apologies, but Karen doubled down, planting her hands on her hips. "You're really doing this?" she hissed. "Over a stupid boathouse? You're pathetic." "It's not about the boathouse," I said, stepping closer. "It's about respect. Something you've never understood." Sheriff Dan arrived in under 10 minutes, his cruiser crunching down the gravel path. Karen's bravado cracked as he stepped out, his badge glinting in the twilight. Dan was no nonsense, a man who'd seen every kind of neighborhood spat. He listened to my side, then turned to Karen, who launched into a tirade about community rights and overreacting neighbors. Dan wasn't having it. "Ma'am, this is private property," he said, pointing to the sign. "You were told to leave. You didn't. That's trespassing." Karen's face reddened, her voice rising to a screech. This is ridiculous. I'm a taxpayer. I have rights. You don't have the right to be here, Dan said, pulling out his notepad. I'm issuing a citation. Next time, it's an arrest. Her guests slunk away, dragging their cooler like scolded kids. Karen, though, wasn't done. She jabbed a finger at me, spitting venom. You'll regret this. Ethan, I'll make sure everyone knows what a jerk you are. I didn't flinch. Go ahead. Karen, tell the world how you got caught breaking the law. The citation wasn't enough for me. Karen had been a thorn in the neighborhood side for years, complaining about kids playing, reporting mailboxes for being too colorful, even trying to get the community garden shut down because it attracted bees. This was her pattern: push, bully, and expect everyone to bow. I wasn't bowing. I drove to the county courthouse the next morning and filed formal trespass charges. The clerk, a tired woman with a tight bun, raised an eyebrow when I mentioned Karen's name. Karen Miller, she asked. Yeah, we know her. She's been here before. That didn't surprise me. Karen's entitlement had a paper trail. I filled out the forms, my pen digging into the paper as I detailed her stunt at the Boathouse. The charges weren't just about one day. They were about drawing a line. If I let her slide, she'd be back with a bigger party, a louder speaker, a bolder smirk. Word spread fast. By the next week, the neighborhood was buzzing. Karen had taken to social media, painting herself as the victim of a vindictive loner. She posted blurry photos of the Boathouse, claiming it was practically public property and I was hoarding it. The comments were a mixed bag. Some sided with her, calling me a grump, but most saw through her. Classic Karen, one neighbor wrote. She tried to find me for my fence being an inch too tall. I didn't engage online. I didn't need to. The law was on my side, and Karen's lies were unraveling. Her guests from that day even reached out to me, apologizing, saying Karen had told them the Boathouse was open to friends. They were embarrassed, caught in her web of arrogance. The court date came a month later. Karen showed up in a garish pink blazer, her hair teased to high heaven, like she was auditioning for a reality show. She pleaded not guilty, spinning a tale about how she misunderstood the property lines and thought she had implied permission. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with glasses perched on her nose, wasn't buying it. She read my statement, reviewed the photos of the private property sign, and heard Sheriff Dan's testimony. Ms. Miller, the judge said, her voice like a gavel. You've shown a blatant disregard for property rights. This isn't your first complaint in this county. The evidence is clear. Karen tried to interrupt, but the judge raised a hand. I'm fining you $500 and issuing a formal trespass warning. Step foot on Mr. Ethan's property again, and you'll face jail time. Karen's jaw dropped, her face a mix of shock and fury. She stormed out, muttering about small-town justice and petty neighbors. I didn't smile, didn't gloat. I just nodded at the judge and left, the weight of the Boathouse's sanctity restored. But the story didn't end there. Karma, it turns out, has a long memory. Karen's social media rants backfired. The neighborhood association, fed up with her antics, banned her from community events for a year. Her friends distanced themselves, tired of her drama. The wiry guy from the Boathouse incident even posted an apology on the community board, calling Karen out for lying to them. Her reputation, built on bluster and entitlement, crumbled like a sandcastle at high tide. I went back to my boathouse the next weekend. The lake quiet again. The dock free of Karen's flip-flops and coolers. I sat on the porch, my dad's old fishing rod in hand, and felt him there with me. The boathouse wasn't just wood and nails. It was a boundary, a principle. Karen thought she could trample it. But she learned the hard way. Respect isn't optional. And actions have consequences. Karen's still out there, probably complaining about someone's lawn ornaments or mailbox colors. But she hasn't set foot near my property since. The private property sign still stands. A quiet sentinel. And I've got a signed warrant ready if she ever forgets her lesson. Some people need to hit rock bottom to learn. And Karen's fall was one for the books. The end.